Would you forgive the man who offed your parents if he saved your life? Let's get into it. To start off issue 3, we see Spider-Man wake up in his black suit. He feels a bandage underneath his suit, making him think someone patched him up. Trouble soon came knocking as a dinosaur tries to chase after him and eat him, leading him to figure out he's in the Savage Lands. Wolverine comes in for the save, and this panel is brutal as you'd expect as Logan cuts into the T-Rex's eye and claws his way inside it, offing it painfully. He then comes through the dead T-Rex's mouth and reaches his hand out to Peter. Peter smacks Logan's hand away, saying, "Get away from me, you lunatic. You almost offed me." Wolverine responds, "Except I didn't. If I wanted you dead, you would be right now. But I needed a way to calm me down." I mean, it was obvious. Issue 2 ended with Logan stabbing Peter purely for shock value and to leave things on a cliffhanger, so it was to be expected. Spider-Man doesn't want to hear anything, but Wolverine continues talking anyway, saying he doesn't remember if he did off Richard and Mary Parker, but he knows he did some very unforgivable things in his past. That leaves Peter questioning why he shouldn't just off Logan right now. And I'm sitting here like, really? I get that Peter's emotional, but come on now. That's a stupid thing to say. He already tried to take Logan down before the stab wound and still lost. So how you gonna do that now when you're damn near close to bleeding to death? But I will give Peter some credit. Dislocating Wolverine's adamantium jaw is no small feat. That right there shows he wasn't holding back. Wolverine even reminds this man that he's in no position to try that again. He makes it clear to Peter one more time that he's not sure if he offed Richard and Mary Parker. Peter's still not sure if he can get past this though, and Logan doesn't expect him to. All he asks from Peter is to hold on to the possibility he didn't off Richard and Mary Parker. But first things first, they need to work together and figure out what's really going on. Whoever's behind this brought them to the Savage Land, re-outfitted both of them in what I like to call my favorite alternate versions of their suits, and even patched Peter up. But before they can dig deeper, arrows suddenly come flying at them, and they're forced to run. Logan tells Peter they need to find a place where they'll have the advantage, and Peter already knows exactly where to go. As they run, both heroes piece things together, figuring Kraven must be behind this. After all, the guy lives for the hunt, but Peter still can't wrap his head around how he went from being on a helicarrier in Brooklyn to suddenly waking up in the Savage Land. Logan explains that after he stabbed Peter, Kraven and Omega Red came back, knocked him out, and when he woke up, he was in the Savage Land too, already suited up in a new costume. A minute later, they're ambushed by a new enemy named Dreadshadow. Both Spider-Man and Wolverine ask each other if this guy belongs to either of the rogues galleries, and they both say no to each other. Logan charges in head first while Peter uses his strength to bring trees crashing down on top of Dreadshadow. Logan gives him some props with a quick nice work, but Peter is still in rough shape, struggling with a stab wound. Logan catches Kraven's scent nearby and tells Peter to keep moving while he buys him some time. Peter pushes forward, but his thoughts keep circling. Why is he still working with Logan, the man he suspects of offing his parents? Then he remembers what the finisher said, how he admitted to being the one who offed Richard and Mary Parker. Now all this thinking and remembering is frustrating Peter. He doesn't know what to believe anymore. As the pain from the stab wound gets worse, blood dripping from his hand, Peter forces himself to stay focused and push forward, finally reaching the place he told Logan about. Kraven and the rest of the hunters finally catch up to Spider-Man, thinking he's passed out from blood loss, but Peter's just baiting them. Right on cue, Wolverine slices open his webs, and what spills out is an entire army of velociraptors who were living in an old city the X-Men destroyed years ago. The chaos buys them a moment, but just enough time for Spider-Man to launch himself at Kraven, ready to throw some hands at him. Every punch sends a wave of pain through him, but Peter doesn't stop. He just keeps swinging until Kraven finally presses a button. In an instant, both Spider-Man and Wolverine are teleported away, then standing on top of the Great Wall of China. And waiting for them on the last page of the issue, Doc Ock, towering over terrified civilians, ready to make his move, ending off issue 3. Moving on to issue 4, it's now Spider-Man and Wolverine versus Doc Ock. Wolverine goes in to fight him while Spider-Man gets people clear of the area. Doc Ock reveals he was given an opportunity to prove to the heroes that when innocent lives are at stake, Otto Octavius is superior. And I think this was the moment I started feeling a sense of boredom and confusion with this story. Like Spider-Man, I'm like, what's the point of all this? Peter starts to wonder if all this is to humiliate him and Logan, or get them to see their shortcomings. Because every time they get close to taking down the villain, they just get teleported again. This time they're sent to Rome. But then Spider-Man is yanked to New York City by himself with Dreadshadow waiting for him. That's when Doc Ock finally admits the truth. It wasn't even his plan. Dreadshadow's the one pulling the strings. He's got a personal grudge against both Spider-Man and Wolverine, convinced they're failures who leave innocent people dead in their wake. Wolverine then goes into his berserker rage while Spider-Man is beyond exhausted at this point. Dreadshadow makes it clear he doesn't want to finish them off just yet. His goal is to show them more. He's the one who orchestrated this whole nightmare, uniting the villains is to break them both. He grabs Spider-Man and tells him he's not powerful or responsible. He then calls him Peter. Spider-Man freezes. Dreadshadow knows his secret identity, but Peter has no idea who he is. Desperate for answers, Peter rips off off Dreadshadow's mask, only to stare at a face he's never seen before, a total stranger. Meanwhile, Doc Ock notices Wolverine's berserker rage burning out as he's exhausted and breathing harder. He knocks Wolverine to the ground while Spider-Man kicks Dreadshadow and swings off. The only thing on Peter's mind is getting his teleportation device off of him. He swings to the back of the building and wonders if the Fantastic Four is home. When the AI in the room says the Fantastic Four aren't home, Peter takes it upon himself to use some tools and get the teleportation device off of him. Right as Doc Ock's about to land another hit on Logan, he suddenly gets teleported straight into Spider-Man's location. Peter figured out how to control and remove the teleportation devices, and now the two of them are back together. Spider-Man tells Wolverine that every villain they've faced so far hasn't just been about vengeance. It's like each one of them is trying to prove something to them. However, they can't take a break yet as Peter's spider sense goes off and Logan gets his face slashed. Peter didn't think it was possible, but it is, as his sister Teresa Parker appears. She points a gun at Logan as she's angry and thinks he's the one who off Richard and Mary Parker. Peter urges her not to shoot, but she's not listening to her brother and shoots Logan anyway, using bullets forged of steel from a Muramasa blade that nullifies his healing factor, ending off issue 4. Moving into issue 5, we go back in time to a few years ago where Spider-Man and Wolverine were fighting a villain named Enforcer. Logan looks ready to cross the line and finish him, forcing Spider-Man to yell at him not to do it. That moment cuts us right back to the present. Doc Ock is furious, telling Dreadshadow how close he came to finally taking down Wolverine. Yeah, okay, like that was gonna happen. He assumes Dreadshadow teleported Logan away, but Dreadshadow corrects him, saying it wasn't him but it was Spider-Man. However, Dreadshadow doesn't care either way, because this was all part of his plan. That leads us to Peter, Teresa, and Logan. Logan is full of Muramasa bullets, barely hanging on. Peter screams at his sister. What did she just do? Teresa responds that she offed the man who offed their parents. She explains she saw the video after the Janus directory was dumped onto the dark web. That's when she also discovered her own origin. Teresa was actually on that plane the day it went down. She survived the crash as a baby and was rescued. Wolverine soon gets back up, pissed, and Spider-Man has to hold him back. Peter thought Logan learning he had a sister would shock him out of his rage, but he was dead wrong. Instead, Peter accidentally gives Teresa the perfect opening to finish Logan off. Before she can act, Dreadshadow suddenly appears behind them, striking the ground to get everyone's attention. He unleashes rockets at them and finally reveals the real reason he has such a grudge against Spider-Man and Wolverine. He blames them for the death of his daughter years ago, and after Spider-Man and Wolverine defeated the Enforcer, they sent him to the raft. But like most villains, he eventually broke out and went on another crime spree, one that included the death of Dreadshadow's daughter, Evelyn. That was the breaking point. He then learned he used to be a SHIELD agent before becoming Dreadshadow, and the guy seriously bulked up compared to what he looked like back then. After SHIELD disbanded, the Janus directory gave him everything he needed, including clues leading to Spider-Man's secret identity. That's how he discovered Peter Parker was under the mask. Dreadshadow reveals he used Bill Branscombe, and if you can't remember who that guy is, he's the guy who told Logan about the Janus directory back in issue 1 to set Spider-Man and Teresa against Wolverine as part of his revenge plan. He tells her they're not heroes at all, and that's why he gathered their enemies to expose the quote-unquote truth about who they really are. Peter webs up Dreadshadow, and Wolverine goes in, ready to finally end his life, but Peter stops him, insisting they send him to prison instead. But before they can act, Dreadshadow breaks free, only for Teresa to stab him through the back and unload multiple shots into him. And you think that would be enough to take him down, right? Nope. This man still gets back up and blows himself up into pieces. The three of them dive out of the way, and when the smoke clears, the only thing left of Dreadshadow is his arm. Afterward, Peter reflects, trying to see things from Dreadshadow's perspective about the choices heroes make, whether to leave criminals alive or dead, and how those choices have consequences. Logan and Teresa try to reassure him, reminding him that letting the Enforcer live years ago wasn't his fault, nor was what came after. But Peter, being Peter, comes to his own conclusion. No matter what choice they make, as heroes, they have to live with the consequences. A week later, Peter calls Logan and Teresa together after fixing up the footage of Richard and Mary Parker's deaths. He wanted all three of them to watch at the same time, and what do you know, Logan wasn't the one who offed them. In fact, he was sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. to protect them. The real cause of their deaths was C4 planted by the Finisher. With the truth finally out, Peter and Logan finally make amends. As for Teresa, though, the story leaves us with another question. Is she really Peter's sister or not? And honestly, I don't even care at this point to figure it out. The story dragged on, and the payoff just wasn't worth it in my opinion. On the last page of the issue, we see Kraven, Mysterio, Omega Red, and Doc Ock teaming up, setting the stage for what's next, ending off issue 5 of this series. Now, moving on to my personal thoughts, the story just felt empty and pointless to make it simple, but I wanted to go over and finish off this little story arc anyway because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so there's that. But besides all that, if you're entertained, thought it's educational like what I said or all the above, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, turn on post notifications, especially if you're a new viewer. If you want to support the channel even more, my links will be down in the description box below, and I'll talk to you guys about those later. Peace.